Oh, yes. All right, so I'll probably, I don't think I'm hopeful here.
We are live on the custom streaming service. Stream is not started on Boxcast yet, but that was less than a minute ago. And YouTube is waiting for the signal, so it should come live on Boxcast in a minute. If it doesn't, the source is showing green.
Did you get any feedback from Boxcast? How do you know that it's working?
I've got a, well, if you want to come over here, I'll show you.
Oh.
There's a Boxcast dashboard.
Oh, I see.
This is what, by the way, as you'll notice over here,
Yeah, that was.
I'm turning that off.
Yes.
Okay. And here we go.
Oh, yes.
And turning that off. So now I can watch the feeds without causing that critical do loop. And then we'll come back. And then we'll go into speaker view.
Okay, you're the master.
Yeah. And if I spot, let's see, right now there must be some ambient noise in the Beit Midrash that's attracting it.
Yeah, that was just the last thing.
There he is. Hello, Daniel. Look good.
You do.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You're quite welcome.
Actually, that's pretty clear.
Oh yeah, it is. Now, if we unspotlight Dan, sorry, Dan, I'm demoting you.
Won't hurt.
And we go and we spotlight the rabbi. There. And if you spotlight me, well, actually, you sort of can't. I don't know why you can't, but you might start with it. And if we go to see what YouTube is showing, that's what happens when you try to get to me. This should clear out in a second. I should shut my...
It's a nice tallis. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. It's a friend of mine has a small business where she weaves tallit and other things, and it's from her.
That's very nice.
I like it. I like the blue. I can't see you. I wonder if I've been spotlighted.
I don't know. I think they unspotlighted me, but I'm not sure what they're working on.
Well, let's see.
I'm only in a small box on my screen right now instead of the equal boxes. Because David had set it up differently for me.
I wonder.
We are, ladies and gentlemen, we are on live. We are streaming now. And yes, Rabbi, you were spotlighted.
I understand. Okay, thanks, Michael.
How about me?
Not at the moment, but if you'd like to be.
I'd like to have the equal size boxes.
Well,
To the
No?
extent that that's possible, we will, but we're going to be spotlighting. Michael's going to be spotlighting the two of us, so it's going to go back and forth a little.
Okay. All right.
But Dan, do you know how to get to the boxes view?
No, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna touch anything.
Okay, don't touch anything.
So if somebody turns on now, they'll actually hear us.
yes, they will.
Oh. No, I think I'm gonna sit down and rest.
By all means.
Dan,
Yes.
just a reminder to mute your mic when you are not singing or talking, and I will do the same.
Okay. So I'll mute it now.
Yeah, I think we're going to get started in just a minute. Shana Tova, everyone, and welcome. It is so lovely to be with you tonight, even if we're not able to be together in person. And before we get into our services tonight, the first thing I want to do is take an opportunity to thank everyone who has worked hard to make these holidays happen. And there are really so many. As we like to say here, it takes a village. I want to thank David Asher, Michael Fishbein, Matt Holman, Deb Kajanik, Charlie Bernstein, Marsha Holman, Leni Glickman, the entire Ritual Committee, the High Holiday Committee, our shofar blowers, our Torah and Haftorah readers, our preliminary service leaders, and our Yom Kippur community conversations facilitators. All of you have been and continue to be instrumental in making our high holidays together happen. And for that, we are all immensely grateful. We meet this year in extraordinary times. Who of us would have thought that one day we would log onto our computers for the high holidays instead of sitting together as a community in the temple? One of the most significant aspects of the high holidays for many of us is the experience of being physically together as a community, of looking around at who is in the room, making eye contact, perhaps even giving each other a hug. And we don't have that this year. We do not have the comfort and the joy of that this year. But there is also so much that we do have, so much that we can turn to in a new way this year. This year, we have the gift of quiet. Quiet is such a generative spiritual space. It offers us the opportunity to stand with deep presence with our innermost self. It offers us the opportunity to engage with the many spiritual forms available to us: prayer, poetry, reflection questions, throwing our transgressions into a body of living water, hearing the shofar blast. We have the opportunity to engage with these practices in a deeper and more open-hearted way this year. This year, we also enjoy the gift of creativity. Our shortened services are rooted in the traditions we know and love, yet also branch out to better reach us as 21st century Jews. And we are connecting with each other in new ways these high holidays. We will meet on Sunday afternoon to hear the shofar together in our parking lot. We have the opportunity to connect through reflective community conversations on Yom Kippur after Kol Nidre services at night. Please look on the website for more information on these and other great opportunities to connect. Now, tonight is Rosh Hashanah, and in its wisdom, Rosh Hashanah offers us the same spiritual ground to walk on every single year. Every year, Rosh Hashanah is a celebration. It is the birthday of the world. It is a coronation ceremony for God. So every year, no matter what is happening in our lives or in our world, we are urged to celebrate. And in spite of everything, there really is so much to celebrate. The beauty of the earth as it transforms from summer to fall, the joys of friendship and family, the resilience and creativity of our community, and so much more. What is also the same every year is that Rosh Hashanah is Yom Hadin, the day of judgment. It is an intensive 10 days of discernment and introspection. And it is based on the simple idea that an honest look at ourselves, our relationships, our community, and our world is healthy for moving forward into the next year of our lives. There is so much that has happened this year, so much that deserves our attention, so much difficulty, so much we have to be proud of. And we owe it to ourselves to take stock of all of it, to look at it so that we can heal and grow from it, so that we can reach into the next year with more strength and hope. We each deserve that, and our community and our world needs that of us. For the next 2 days, I invite you to inhabit both aspects of Rosh Hashanah, the celebration that we so badly need, and the learning, healing, and growth that we all truly deserve. We continue our service tonight in the Machzor on page 13 with the Shabbat Psalm in English. It is good to thank you, O Lord, to sing praises to your name, to proclaim your love every morning and your faithfulness every night, to the sound of the 10-string lyre with the music of the lute and harp. Your works, O Lord, bring me gladness. Of your deeds I joyously sing. How great are your deeds, O Lord! How profoundly are your designs! The superficial cannot comprehend, the foolish cannot grasp this. Though the wicked may thrive like grass, and doers of evil seem to flourish, yet their doom is sure to come, for yours is the ultimate triumph. Those who oppose you shall be destroyed. Workers of evil are sure to be routed. You have given me extraordinary power. I am like one who has been anointed. I see the defeat of my foes. I hear the doom of my enemies. The righteous will grow strong like the palm tree. They will thrive like the cedar of Lebanon. Planted in the house of the Lord, they will flourish in the courts of our God. They will bear fruit even in old age. They will remain vital and vigorous, proclaiming that the Lord is just, my rock, in whom there is no righteousness, no unrighteousness. We continue on page 12 with Sadiq Katamar. I invite Cantor Funk to lead us.
Sadiq Katamar Yifrach Ki Eres Balvanon Yisgeh Shetulim B'Veit Adonai B'chatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuhavon B'Seva Deshenim Verananim Yiyu Lahagid Ki Ashar Adonai Tzuri V'lo Havlatabo.
We continue on page 18 with the Baruch with the call to worship.
Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
We continue in English on page 19. Praised are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, whose word brings on the dusk of evening. Your wisdom opens the gates of dawn. Your understanding regulates time and seasons. The stars above follow their appointed rounds in response to your divine will. You create day and night. You alter darkness and light. You remove the day and bring on the night. You separate one from the other. We call you Lord of heavenly hosts. You are our living God. May you rule over us as you rule over nature. Praised are you, O Lord, who brings the evening dusk.
El Chai v'kayam tamid, yimloch aleinu le'olam voed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv, Aravil.
We continue with our prayers of love, starting with Ahavat Olam. We are on page 20.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha havta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachmeinu v'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha li'olam v'oed. Ki heim chayenu v'yorech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla negei yomam v'layla v'yahavat chal tasir mimenu li'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
We continue with the Shema, where we affirm the interconnectedness, the oneness of all life. We are on page 20.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha, u'b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol me'odecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavcha, hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam, b'shivtecha b'veitecha v'lechtecha v'aderech, u'shachbecha u'v'kumecha, Ukshartam liot al yadecha, v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha, uktavtam amuzazot beitecha, u'visharecha.
We continue individually through the end of the Shema on page 26.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
We continue on page 28.
U'malchuto b'ratzon kiblu alehem Moshe b'nei Yisrael l'chanu shira b'simcha rabba v'yamru chulam Mi chamocha b'oelim Adonai Mi kamocha Nedar b'kodesh Nora tehilot Hosef ele Machutcha ra'uvanecha Bokeyam lifnei Moshe Ze Eliyanu v'yamru Adonai yimloch Leolam voed V'nemar kifadar Adonai et Yaakov Ugalo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Goal Yisrael.
We ask for God's sheltering protection, for God's peace with the prayer Hashkivenu, which we find on page 30. I'll invite Cantor Funk to lead us.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom V'hamidenu Malkeinu L'chaim Ufrosoleinu sukat shlomecha Baruch atah Adonai Hapodei sukat shalom Oleinu V'al kol amo Yisrael V'al Yerushalayim.
We continue in English on page 32. Help us, O God, to lie down in peace, but teach us that peace means more than quiet. Remind us that if we are to be at peace at night, we must take heed how we live by day. Grant us the peace that comes from honest dealing, so that no fear of discovery will haunt our sleep. Rid us of resentments and hatreds, which rob us of the peace we crave. Liberate us from enslaving habits, which disturb us and give us no rest. May we inflict no pain, bring no shame, and seek no profit from another's loss. May we so live that we can face the world with serenity and with grace. May we feel no remorse at night for what we have done during the day. May we lie down tonight in peace and awaken tomorrow to a richer and fuller life. Amen. So we'll continue in just a moment with a very special prayer for Rosh Hashanah. The prayer is on page 33, and the words of this prayer go like this. Tiku b'chodesh shofar b'keseh leyom chagenu, ki chok leYisrael hu mishpat leElohei Yaakov. Sound the shofar on the new moon, at the time appointed for our new year. Its observance is a law for Israel ordained by the God of Jacob. Now, these are the words of Psalm 81. and they speak of a very interesting aspect of Rosh Hashanah. The word typically understood as full moon here is keseh, which literally means hidden. Rosh Hashanah happens on a day when the moon is hidden. Now, according to a midrash, according to a rabbinic story about the Torah, the moon lives in hiding amidst thick darkness and clouds. And at the beginning of the month, its light begins to peek out, each day a tiny bit more. This means that we celebrate Rosh Hashanah in a time with just a hint of visible light. Now, this is an incredible statement by our tradition. To have our biggest celebration of the year in a time of greatest darkness visible to us is an extraordinary statement of faith and hope. It is about saying that there is always something to celebrate. It is about saying that even in the most difficult and uncertain times, we can hope that more light will come. This is our tradition's invitation to us tonight, to defy the darkness and truly celebrate, to tap into the sliver of light that is revealed to us, and to help spread that light to all corners of the world. I invite Cantor Funk to lead us, page 33.
תקעו בחורש שופר, בכסל יום חגנו, כי חוק לישראל הוא, משפט לאלוהי יעקב. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבו, ביום דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בגלו בזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבו מבורך לעולם עולם אלמיה יתברך, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם וינשא וירדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילא לעילא מכל ברכתו ושירתו תשבחתו ונחמתו דמירן בעולמו ואמרו אמן.
We continue with the silent Amidah. We do this individually. We are on page 36. I invite you to use the words on the page or the words on your heart for personal reflection. We will meet again on page 44. We continue on page 44 with Besefer Chaim.
בספר חיים ברכה ושלום ופרנסה טובה ניזכר וניכתב לפניך לפניך אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל חיים טובים ולשלום.
And as it is Shabbat, we'll continue on page 48 with Magen Avot.
Magen Avot bidvaro mechaye metim b'mamaro HaMelech HaKadosh ein kamohu המניח לעמו ביום שבת קדשו כי בם רצה להניח להם כי בם רצה להניח להם לפניו נעבוד ביראה ופחד ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד מעין הברכות אל ההודות אדון השלום מקדש השבת ומברך שבי ומניח בקדושה ליעמד שני עונג זכר למעשה בראשית.
We continue on page 50 with Kaddish Shalem.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה אמן ביום דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביום איכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם עולם יומיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו לעילא ולעילא מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן ביומה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן ביומה ויאמרו אמן תתקבל צלון הון ובעוד הון בכל ישראל קרום אבוהון דיבשמיה ויאמרו ויאמרו אמן יהי Amen Shemaya v'chaim v'chaim Aleinu Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru, yimeru. Amen.
Shana Tova, again, everybody. Really nice to be with you tonight online. For those of you who I have not yet had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Rabbi Mimi Michner. And tonight, I want to talk about this moment of significant change we are in together. I'm not talking about the reality of COVID-19. Tune in to tomorrow's sermon to hear more about that. But I'm talking about the new and intimate reality of me being your new rabbi, and of us being together here online and one day in person at the start of the year 5781. I am humbled by this work, humbled by the immense heart of this community, so dedicated and ready to pitch in, humbled by serving you in this moment, where there are so many more questions than there are answers, so many unknown paths for us to walk together, and humbled by the stories you shared with me this past summer about what this community means to you and what your hopes are for our becoming. And with humility, I want to meet you in these stories and hopes with my own. I want to spend a few minutes tonight telling you about who I am, what our work together is about for me, and my hopes for our community's becoming. I want to begin by telling you about my family. I am a child of immigrants. I was born in Vancouver, British Columbia, to a mother who was born in Santiago, Chile, herself the daughter of a Chilean mother and an Argentinian father. Just before the dictatorship emerged in Chile in the 1970s, she and her parents moved to Israel and moved to Canada 3 years later after her uncle Danny was killed in the Yom Kippur War. They came to Vancouver for a more stable life. My father, on the other hand, grew up in Vancouver, and his parents were Holocaust survivors from Poland who met in Canada. My grandfather fled to the Soviet Union during the war, and he survived there in a forced labor camp in Siberia. He ended up in a DP camp in Berlin, getting to Canada only by lying and saying that he was a tailor. My grandmother and her family fled to Tajikistan and eventually came to Canada. She met my grandfather, who at the time was a peddler, and married him. My grandfather later built a successful scrap metal business and brought his family into the middle class. Throughout their whole lives, my family has experienced the pendulum swing between upheaval and stability. And amidst all of this, they found a home in the Jewish community. The Jewish community has been a constant for my mother throughout her wanderings, and it has been my father's home in the midst of the questions of the Jewish past and future that he wrestles with as a second-generation Holocaust survivor. Now, while this is my family's story, I do not think it is unique. I think for many of us, in our experiences of upheaval, the Jewish community has been a home. And as your rabbi, I hope to invite even more of you to find a home in the Jewish community. I too have made the Jewish community my home, and I have found in that home a connection to my soul, a connection to God and to prayer as well. That connection has looked a lot of different ways in my life. When I was a kid, it looked like praying to God that I would get an A on a test, or praying to God when things got hard, when I felt alienated or misunderstood. As I got older, this relationship changed. In the wake of reading some of the more difficult stories in the Bible, and when my grandmother died of pancreatic cancer when I was 19, I began to really struggle with God. How do I reconcile the God I turn to in difficult moments with the God who let my grandmother die, to the God who lets so much suffering happen to the Jewish people and all people? This troubled me tremendously. And as my life has continued, this question has never quite left me. In the midst of so much suffering and injustice, where is God? Yet eventually, the question transformed. It transformed from where is God to where are we in response to suffering and injustice? This transformation happened in college because of two significant experiences. One was the experience of spending a summer living in Jerusalem, where I became deeply connected to Israel and invested in helping it achieve peace with its neighbors. Another was coming out as queer, and doing so in an era of don't ask, don't tell, limited LGBTQ non-discrimination protections, and only some states having legalized gay marriage. Both experiences transformed me into a rodef tzedek, a pursuer of justice. And this led me to do social justice work professionally for much of my 20s. And as I did this social justice work, my questions again changed. No longer was I only asking, where is God in our experiences of suffering? Instead, I also began to ask, how can I better learn to see God where God is? And as I asked this question, God began to reveal God's self in new ways. God revealed God's self as the impulse each of us has to fight for what's right, as our capacity to do extraordinary things in the face of immense challenges, as our collective vision for a world that is whole. And as I came to see these new faces of God, I began to sense that the work that I do for justice was connected to what was happening within my soul. I felt this particularly as I struggled in my late 20s with impatience, discouragement, and exhaustion from my social justice work. This struggle brought me to the spiritual practice of Musar, which is about fortifying our spirits through work on our character traits like patience, humility, and faith. This practice has helped me keep my heart open and hopeful, and is a practice I hope to offer anyone else in the community who is interested. Now, I am not telling you these stories about my relationship with God and my involvement in social justice work and my spiritual practice because I want to prescribe what Jewish life should look like at TBT. I am also not telling you these stories because I think you are beginners in matters of the spirit. This is a vibrant community, and I see every day the ways that you live out your spiritual commitments to kindness, community, and connection. Instead, I tell these stories as an invitation for you to bring the Torah of your lives into the community, because each of you has Torah, has wisdom to teach, and as an invitation to partner with me, as each of you continues your unique path of Jewish seeking, and as we together build upon the meaningful Jewish life that we already have here at TBT. And as your partner, I want you to know what I bring to this partnership. I bring a wealth of ever-evolving questions about spiritual and civic life, about how we can help our souls flourish and our society become the best version of itself, especially in these times. I bring a love of Torah, prayer, and ritual, not for their own sakes, but for the ways that they can open our hearts and help us be the people and the world we want to be. I bring a desire to build community, one that is as caring for each other as we are for the world that we are a part. And I bring a tremendous belief in the power of Judaism to make our lives better, to make our lives more meaningful and more joyful, to make our relationships deeper, and to make our world more perfect. Chevra, my friends, the gratitude that I have in this moment to do this work with you is overflowing. In the words of Psalm 23, Kosi revaya, my cup overflows. We encounter this world together, this world that is both sick and broken, but full of beauty and light. May we together build upon this community's amazing work to become even more of a place of rich spiritual living, deep community care, and compassionate work for justice. Shana Tova. We continue tonight with Kiddush, with sanctifying the day. We are on page 56, and I invite Cantor Funk to lead us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher bachar banu mikol ha'am v'romemonu mikol hashon v'kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'titen lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'yahava et yom hashabar hazeh v'et yom hazikaron hazeh yom zichron teruah b'ava migra kodesh zecher l'tziad Mitzrayim ki vanu vanu v'charta V'yotanu kirashta mikol ha'amim urvarcha emet v'kayam la'ad Baruch atah Adonai melech hakol haaretz Mekadesh Yisrael melech hakol haaretz Mekadesh Yisrael melech hakol haaretz Mekadesh hashabat v'Yisrael v'yom hazikaron Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh lazman hazeh lazman hazeh Lazman hazeh, lazman hazeh.
We continue with the Aleinu, our prayer that helps us yearn for a world of wholeness and peace, for Malchut Shaddai, for wholeness and peace. We are on page 58.
Aleinu l'shabech l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו גלי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
I invite you to rise in body or in spirit if you are in mourning or observing a yortzeit. We will continue with the Mourner's Kaddish on page 64. This week, we as a community are commemorating the yortzeits of Miriam Promer, grandmother of Linda DuBois, Bernard Silver, father of Philip Silver, Norma Stryker, mother of Marcia Cyril, and Alexander Pitagoff, brother of Ruth Grieco. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach irute ve'amlich malchute, ve'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uvizman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam u'omei omaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Vitadar, vitale, vitalal, shmei dekudsha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma ve'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. We'll continue now with the psalm of the season, with the psalm of this season of repentance. And in lieu of doing the English in the book, I want to offer an interpretive translation of this psalm from Rabbi Branch Rosen. You are my light and my hope. Why should I fear? You are my life and my strength. So why do I tremble? When I contemplate surrender to my dread of the unknown, I hold tight to you, and your strength gives me strength. I only ask one thing of you, just this one thing, that I may be welcome in your house all the days of my life, to dwell in your innermost place, in safety between the softness of your wings. Be my shelter when I'm racked by hardship and disquiet. Offer me sanctuary, and from there I will sing hymns to the darkness with openness and love. In my darkest moments, of this I am sure, I will never be alone. Yes, even if my father and mother abandon me, you will to gather me up. Guide me in your ways. Lead me down the paths of wholeness and peace. Remind me that no matter how far I stray, there is always a road to return. Onto your hope and be strong. The time of our return will soon arrive. Invite Cantor Funk to close Psalm 27 with the Chatima on the bottom of page 66.
Kaveh el Adonai chazak v'yametz libecha, v'kaveh el Adonai.
And we conclude our service this evening with Yigdal. I invite Cantor Funk to lead us.
יגדל אלוהים חי וישתבח, נמצא בעיני אל מציאותו, אחד ואין יחיד כייחודו, נעלם וגם אין סוף לאחדותו, אין לו דמות הגוף ואינו גוף, לא נערוך אליו קדושתו, קדמון לכל דבר אשר נברא, ראשון ואין ראשית לראשיתו, הינו אדון עולם לכל נוצר. יורה גדולתו מלכותו, שפע נבואתו נתנו, אל אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו, לא קם בישראל כמו שעוד, נביא ומביט את תמונתו, תורת אמת נתן לי המועל, על יד נביאו נאמן ביתו, לא יכל לפועל ולא ימיר דתו, לעולמים לזולתו, צופה ויודע שתורנו, מביט לסוף דבר בקדמתו, גומל איש חסד כמפעלו, נותן לרשע רע קדישתו, ישלח לקץ ימין משיחנו, לפתות מחכה קץ ישועתו. מתים יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו, מתים יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו.
Shana Tova, everyone. Thank you for coming. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning for our service at 9:30 a.m., full of prayer, full of reflection, full of lots of good things. Shana Tova and good night.